Another chapter, another series of videos, just for you. In chapter 3, I will teach you how to calculate with negative numbers, how to work with a coordinate plane, and I will even teach you how to read and make graphs. This paragraph is all about multiplying negative numbers. And starting this video, the subtitles will be in English instead of Dutch. But besides that, you can still expect me to teach you everything you need to know. Ready? Then here we go. This first video will help you with the multiplication of negative numbers. Up until now, we've only multiplied positive numbers, so this is something new. Luckily, it's not that hard. When multiplying, we can also use the special plus-minus list I taught you in chapter 2. Remember this one? This list not only works when two signs are directly next to each other, but also when we are multiplying numbers. If I were to multiply two positive numbers, the answer would be positive as well. If I were to multiply a positive number and a negative number, the outcome would be negative. And if I were to multiply two negative numbers, my answer would be positive. Let me show you why. If I multiply 3 and 2, my answer would be 6, no doubt about it. If I multiply 3 and 1, I receive 3. Then 3 times 0 is equal to 0, as everything multiplied by 0 is always equal to 0. Then 3 times minus 1 would be equal to minus 3. You can see that as our answers keep decreasing by 3. You could also say that 3 times minus 1 means that I do minus 1 plus minus 1 plus minus 1, which is also equal to minus 3. The same can be done with minus 4 times 2, which is equal to minus 8. Then we multiply minus 4 and 1 to receive minus 4. The product of minus 4 and 0 is equal to 0. And then, if we multiply minus 4 and minus 1, we should receive 4 as our answer. So, multiplying two negative numbers gives me a positive result. If you were to multiply multiple numbers with each other, it is possible to quickly see if the answer will be positive or negative. As multiplying two negative numbers result in a positive number, I only have to look at the amount of negative numbers to see whether my answer will be positive or negative. So, minus 1 times minus 1 times 1 times minus 1 times 1 will become negative, as they are three negative numbers. Two negatives will cancel each other out, and the remaining negative will be dominant. As a general rule, if you have an even amount of negative numbers, the outcome will be positive. But be careful, this only works with multiplications. So, minus 4 minus 6 does not become 10, as this is a subtraction problem. So the plus-minus list doesn't work here. The correct answer is minus 10. And in the exercise, minus 3 times minus 2 plus minus 5 times 1, this plus breaks the multiplication chain. So first I multiply minus 3 and minus 2 to receive 6. Then I multiply minus 5 and 1 to get minus 5. And that should give me the line 6 plus minus 5. Plus minus turns into a single minus, and 6 minus 5 is equal to 1. So we have to look carefully at the exercise and always use the order of operations. Speaking of the order of operations, let's practice this in a few exercises, shall we? Let's start with this exercise. Minus 2 times 1 minus 9 plus 8. First we solve the brackets, which should give us the line minus 2 times minus 8 plus 8. Multiplying before additions, so we get 16 plus 8, which is equal to 24. On a side note, the book makes a clear difference between a subtraction minus and a negative minus. They use a slightly smaller and raised minus for negative numbers, but I do not. I mean, yes, they are different and they do different things, but I will always write them down like this. That's because on some occasions the subtraction minus can also be used as a negative minus. Let me show you what I mean with this exercise. 10 minus 4 minus 3 times minus 2 times minus 2. Seems big, but not very difficult. We first look at the brackets and solve the multiplication. 3 times minus 2 is equal to minus 6. We get 10 minus 4 minus minus 6 times minus 2. Minus minus turns into a plus, so 10 minus 4 plus 6 times minus 2. Then we add 4 and 6 to receive 10. 10 minus 10 times minus 2. Then we multiply 10 and minus 2, which is minus 20. So 10 minus minus 20. Then we turn the double minus into a plus and we end up with 10 plus 20, which is equal to 30. During this exercise, I considered this minus symbol as a subtraction minus. But there's the possibility that you thought at this line, shouldn't I multiply minus 10 with minus 2? But I would say that doesn't really matter. I will show you with the use of some magic. Don't ask me how, but I got my hands on something that can help us here. Look. Well, don't worry, I'm just going to use it to go back in time for a minute. Watch. Let me show you what I mean with this exercise. 10 minus 4 minus 3 times minus 2 times minus 2. Seems big, but not very difficult. We first look at the brackets and solve the multiplication. 3 times minus 2 is equal to minus 6. We get 10 minus 4 minus minus 6 times minus 2. Minus minus turns into a plus, so 10 minus 4 plus 6 times minus 2. Then we add 4 and 6 to receive 10. 10 minus 10 times minus 2. Then we multiply minus 10 and minus 2, which is equal to 20. This 20 is a positive number, so instead of a minus, we write 10 plus 20, which is equal to 30. In this timeline, I considered the minus as a negative minus, and because my answer was a positive number, I wrote a plus between them. That means that both methods give me the same answer, so pick the one that better suits your playstyle. For our final exercise, we will be working with the short formulas I taught you in chapter 2. I have 8b and 3 minus 2b. We will be evaluating both of these formulas for b is minus 4. That gives me 8 times minus 4 for the first one and 3 minus 2 times minus 4 as the second one. 8 times minus 4 gives me minus 32 as my answer for the first one. For the second formula, first I calculate the product of 2 and minus 4, which is minus 8. We now have the line 3 minus minus 8, which turns out to be 3 plus 8. So our final answer is equal to 11. And that's the end of this video. I hope you've learned something new today, and I'll see you next time. In the next video, I will teach you how to divide with negative numbers and what you need to do if somebody asks you to divide by 0. See you then. Bye bye.